He's opposite you.
I saw him briefly. No, he's gone.
I'm here, but we only
Are
got
you?
limited number of things open.
Oh, okay. You're here.
Hmm.
I see you.
See you.
Okay. I see you now. Okay. What's the time? It's gone 7. Should we start? Or we got enough? We quora at the moment?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Okay. So in that case, welcome everybody to this energy, environment and sustainability working party. I'm just going to bring up the agenda. Okay. So apologies for absence.
Chair, I don't have any apologies apart from Jane Lomas.
Okay, thank you. Item 3, declarations of pecuniary interest and requests for dispensations. Are there any? Just put my camera up. No one's indicating. Thank you. Okay. So if we go to the minutes of the last meeting and to confirm that they are a true record. So
Chair, do you want me to put them on screen?
yes, please. That would be lovely. Okay. So we'll go through any action points anyway, and then we'll agree the minutes. So the action points, I can't see there. There's one for me, it looks like. Yes, I have contacted Councillor Jarvis now. I must admit, it was only a few days ago because when I looked at the minutes, I realised I hadn't done it, so I do apologise. So I've contacted him now, but I've not had a response. But yeah, to see if we can get it into one of the schools, although it's late in the year now, so it might not be until next term. I would have thought that we get an answer from any of the schools. That's that item.
Chair, just if we're going to do matters rising, then the actions rising, just to say that the Swift boxes are up on the Arts Centre.
Yeah.
And the Swift, one of the Swift callers is located there, and there's also a camera in one of the Swift boxes. Although there are 6 Swift boxes in total, so obviously it's pot luck to whether the Swifts in the first instance choose ours.
Yeah, go to the one with the camera.
I think we can guess what's going to happen.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. Talking about the Swift boxes, I have collected some last week and the week before for fellow councillors in West Suffolk that were interested in them. I know we had quite a few spare from the men's shed, so they've donated to the men's shed, and I've given some of those out, so that's good.
Chair, I've also taken a template of the original design Swift box that was donated to us. So I've got template pieces of those, so we can recreate as many Swift boxes as we like if we can find people to do it, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm spreading the word where I can, and hopefully other people are too. So good. Thank you. Should we go down the?
Councillor Stinchcombe has his hand up, Chair.
Oh yes, sorry, Councillor Stinchcombe.
Thank you, Chair. Colin, I'm just wondering if we're lucky enough to strike gold with the camera in the nesting box. Has it been discussed with our technical wizards whether that could be the live stream could be put onto the council's website for the excitement that it engenders and enthusiasm?
It already is being live streamed. I'll make sure that the details are in the minutes. It's not very interesting live stream, as you'll appreciate at this moment in time, but it may be very interesting.
Yeah, we have to see.
Thank you.
Any of them come? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so she moved down to next action point. I think it's Councillor Miller Jones. Something there.
To be fair, Chair, Councillor Miller-Jones and I have both been focused on the wellbeing hub, and really we've not had time to focus on this particular thing, but I will try
Okay.
and make some
Oh, that's
space.
about the maze, wasn't it? About the living maze.
That's
or-
right.
Sorry,
Okay.
thank you.
Sorry, I'm not muted. Yeah, sorry, I had meant to contact you, Colin, about that. I am still very excited about doing it, and it's just, yeah, we after this I'll send you an email and we can get a date sorted if that's cool with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Okay, thank you. Just moving down the list, then we've got town clerk and about the EV charging.
Yes, so the answer to the question, as councillors are probably aware from correspondence that's kind of flown around, is that yes, a neighbourhood development order would give us the same power as a local development order. However, as Councillor Stinchcombe set out in his email to other councillors, at a significant cost to the local taxpayer. And I think my own feeling here is that the risk is that in the middle of us securing a neighbourhood development order, which is a legal process and could be quite expensive, that common sense would prevail in any case, and deliver the power, or at least remove the need for people to go through a planning application process. So you're a bit of a hostage to fortune. In doing the right thing, you could spend all the money, and just when you want to announce that at the end of spending X tens of thousands of pounds getting permission, that you didn't need to do it all at all afterwards because something else happened instead. Which is why I emailed to suggest that really perhaps in the next financial year, a modest grant scheme, so that if we do get people who are ahead of the curve because they care about the environment and want to do the best thing, that it would be significantly cheaper for us to actually offer grants towards planning permission costs than it would to actually go for a complete blanket permission for the whole of Haverhill.
Right. So as it stands at the moment, the individual has to apply for the planning permission then.
That's right. But it's so blatantly unfair. It's difficult to imagine, even in the United Kingdom, that it wouldn't eventually occur to the government to change the rules.
Right. Yeah. Something that needs looking at, isn't it? Okay.
Councillor Smith has his hand up.
Councillor David Smith.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. I tried to get a bit of clarification onto when a planning application is actually needed for an electricity charger on somebody's house. It says you can get permitted development if it's for off-street parking. I don't know if I'm telling you something you already know, but that doesn't include obviously curbside parking. So you would need planning application for any channel to cross the pathway. Now, that's probably Suffolk County Council, but what I was told is that West Suffolk wouldn't necessarily enforce if you did one of these channels and didn't actually get planning permission. They've said it wouldn't be worth their while chasing out basically. And they also said that each site would be taken on its merit, and its own particular merits, whether or not it got planning permission. But it's a bit of a woolly answer, but I don't think that they're that particularly interested in it, to tell you the truth.
Okay. Councillor Stinchcombe. Can't hear you, Councillor Stinchcombe.
I was going to disagree with Colin that it was blatantly unfair, and I was more going to harp on the fact that I think it's just, I'd be a cynic at the same time, because Colin was also saying, well, it's common sense, isn't it? But, since when is common sense in higher echelons of local government, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I'm having just heard what Councillor David Smith has said. I'd like to agree with Colin on the blatant unfairness, because basically, if you're stupid enough to part with 328 quid, they'll take your money. And it was quite clear to me that the planning officer who was dealing with my case had no idea. They managed to, is it about 2 months? I think it's phrased in terms of weeks rather than months, but the determination limit is about 2 months. They managed to take all that time minus 1 day. But it was absolutely clear to me, and he admitted as much when I chatted to him over the phone, that he had no idea why this was even necessary, really, and he had to chat with all his other planning officers and probably the manager as well to think what they could possibly do with it. So they'll take your money, but David gets on the back channel that actually, if you totally ignore the law and carry on and just do it anyway, which I had been doing up to that stage, I have to admit, because that was a retrospective application I put in. Basically, no one's going to come after you. Well, that's blatantly unfair, isn't it? Because if you kind of just read stuff, you'll part with 328 quid, possibly aided by a grant from the town council if we're down that avenue. And on the other hand, if you just totally ignore it, that tier of local government, which of course may get merged with the tier above before we know what's happening, will just totally ignore it. When in fact, as someone said earlier on, I think it was Councillor David Smith said, it actually really only affects highways, doesn't it? You know, like what I've been looking at other jurisdictions and like how on earth did a planning authority manage to deny someone planning permission? It wasn't on the grounds that the county wasn't happy with it, because that was in Hampshire, where the county is absolutely happy for you to use rubber cable protectors anyway. Like and they don't, in Hampshire, magically, they don't think cables trailing across the pavement adequately protected are a trip hazard, whereas of course in this, and nor do they in Norfolk. It's only in Suffolk where we're so stupid that apparently we can trip over a rubber cable protector. Right, I'm sorry, I've eaten up too much airtime. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Stinchcombe. Okay, so I think we'll move on from that. Yes, it's a bit of a grey area, isn't it? Okay,
Unfair.
so unfair grey area. Yeah. So I think we've got the on the agenda. We've got about the other bits about from the operations manager. Have we? I believe. Let's have a look. Just looking at my agenda again. Yeah, so that should all be on the energy efficiency will be on there. So we'll look back at the rest, the tree planting locations, the glebe, Chapel Drive. Have we got any update on that, Colin?
So well, I mean, we've got the funding, but we weren't going to do anything until the autumn in the first place. The latest update on this whole project is that West Suffolk Council think that the family of the child that was the kind of epicenter of the concerns in the first place has moved away. But also the plan to encourage them to go to a new site to play football, so that we could plant trees in order that they can't play football again on this site. The reasons best known to themselves, and district councillors present on the call might want to query this. The department responsible for sending out a questionnaire to residents whose houses back on to the old Kangle playing field on the corner of the Ratting Road and Chalkston Way, they asked all the residents, we want to move these, as a result of antisocial behaviour, we want to put goalposts in here so that we relocate the people responsible. Your vote, whether or not that happens, will be the decisive matter. Do you think it's a good idea to move the people responsible for antisocial behaviour to your back garden instead of the previous back gardens? So apparently the outcome of that survey was that the residents were in fact not happy with the idea that the antisocial behaviour be moved next to them, and therefore, because of the phraseology of the survey, we are not going to be providing goalposts for the children to play football at the new site instead of on the glebe.
Okay.
But hopefully, if the actual epicenter person has moved away and the time has taken, the children have grown up, that they don't want to play football anymore, then it may be possible to plant trees.
Right. Okay. So watch your space, basically. Yeah.
Absolutely. I have to say that your community development officers are holding their head in their hand.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay then. I just missed a bit just above that. Actually, was when talking about the offer of an 8-foot horse chestnut tree, and we asked councillors to think about whether this could be relocated. Has anybody got any ideas about that?
There's plenty of time for that one. And fun enough, we've actually been offered some more horse chestnut trees.
Okay. Okay, so there's time for us to reflect on that further. Okay, the next thing on there is for myself about I was going to make some inquiries around the town to ascertain what is already available with some of the recycling. Like, for example, I was going to talk to Boots and Savers and people like that, see about if they've got any like recycling for blister packs and that. I'm afraid I haven't got around to doing that yet, so that will have to carry over till next time. Hopefully in the summer, I'll have a little bit more time to be in town during the week, so I can do that. Councillor Stinchcombe.
I'm sorry, Chair, I've been a bit slow on the uptake. It just suddenly came to me about horse chestnut trees, that all the horse chestnut trees that I'm familiar with in East Town Park are toweringly high. You know, they are, I don't know, I can't measure them in feet, but many tens of feet high. And that should be borne in mind with, you know, it's not something I could possibly put in my back garden, for example, because I wouldn't be able to insure my house against subsidence, you know, for example. So we're looking, I think we're looking for an open space, if anywhere, that doesn't mind a towering presence in it. I don't know how rapidly it gets to being a towering presence, but there's not a lot of point in putting in an 8-foot tree anywhere where by the time it gets to 20, you know, however long that takes, we realise, oh, it's too big and we have to chop it down, because that's sad and expensive, isn't it? Thank you.
Okay. Councillor David Smith.
Can I just ask, when was this 8-foot horse chestnut tree measured? How big is it now?
I don't know, Chair. What I should say is that I apologise if the minutes are misleading. I don't think that we were asking councillors to offer a home to the 8-foot horse chestnut, but merely suggest where it might be planted within the town. And I absolutely agree with Councillor Stinchcombe that, yeah, clearly this tree is not, unless you have an extremely large garden, it's not an appropriate tree for a garden, because at some point, regardless of whether it is within our own lifetimes, the tree will become too big for that location. I'm sure we can find some space somewhere for it, but it will be kind of like public spaces within Haverhill. But of course, the truth is that if horse chestnut trees, that they produce an enormous number of seeds, And if somebody actually goes to the trouble of planting the seeds, as this person did, and the other person I referred to has planted quite a few, actually, the success rate of a nurtured seed is extremely high. So you then end up with an awful lot of trees you need to find space for.
Well, yeah, exactly. Okay. Okay, then I think that the environmental policy review.
Yeah, apologies, Chair. I really have not had time to be able to look at this. This is not a great time for finding funding dedicated time to look at that. So my apologies.
Yeah. Okay, so that can go on the next agenda. Yeah, perhaps. Okay. Right then. So that's the matters arising. I think looking back at my agenda. And what we'll do is if we agree the minutes now, then so if I can have a proposer for the minutes, just Councillor David Smith, and a seconder, Councillor me. So I second it, and all those in favour. Alan, can't see you.
He has his hand up in his other screen.
Okay. Oh, that's fine. I couldn't see him on the screen. Okay, thank you. That's carried. Okay, so I'll go back to the agenda. Where are we? Here. Whoops, no, that's the minutes. Okay, so on the agenda then, next is the public forum, but we haven't got any members of the public here today. So we'll go on to item 7, which is the energy efficiency. Have you got anything from the operations manager, Colin?
Gary's here.
Oh, he is. Sorry, I didn't see him.
Good evening.
Sorry, Gary. I think it's because my screen's not showing everybody. I do apologise. Okay, Gary. Yes, if you can update us, that would be lovely.
Hello, everyone. These bits refer to the Clements, is that correct? That what we're dealing with here. Since the last meeting, I've had a number of meetings with a number of agencies. One who we've met before, and another one. So in front of me, I have 3 different packages that have been sent through to me, detailing different options for the Clements Community Centre in terms of generating power and how we power the building. If you remember, we had a discussion about the air source heat pump in the last meeting and about the options that had come in, and we were a little bit concerned about costing and the variance of costing and the direction that agencies had put us towards, which was towards a VRV/VRF system, which in essence is an aircon/heating type system. So from this point, we went back. So there was an estimate that that system would be between 20 and 30k. So the quote I have in front of me for a VRV system for the Clements, if I can just describe the work to you, is remove the existing gas boiler, the radiators, the pipework, install what is basically the main split VRV unit, which would go on the roof. There'll be 12 units across the building. Essentially, they look like aircon units, various bits of electronic kit, etc., etc. Replace the gas instantaneous water heater, which is in the community kitchen, with an electric multi-point water heater for that particular room. Obviously, various bits of kit, etc., etc. So that VRV system has been quoted by an agency at £33,000, which sits in between the 2 quotes that we got for the air source heat pumps, almost exactly. One was 21, one was 54, this one's 33. Now on that, from that point, we also discussed the solar panels option of getting some solar kit on the roof. I have a quote from the same agency who have sent through the quote for their VRV for a system of 43 panels across the roof on the Clements with a 17 kilowatt system. Basically the kit, like I said, 43, all the electrics, including battery storage, all comes in for that particular system for the solar panels at 20, well, basically 22k to put solar panels on there. I know that we were looking at funding for that. The obviously all these documents can be sent through so everybody can read them at their leisure. I don't want to go into every particular detail. I'm still absorbing it myself. The bit for the solar panels, the expected payback, estimated first year savings of roughly £1,400, paying for itself over 19 years. Now, obviously, talking to Colin, we've discussed that we would be saving some extra bits on gas and so on, various bits. So it probably wouldn't be 19 years, it would probably be something slightly quicker. Saving with this system of 3,000 kilograms of CO2 every year. Now, it's quite a detailed package, which I'll make sure that we send through to you all. So I have that. We also discussed the roof and the insulation at the Clements. Now, I've had an agency out and they've been on the roof, they've had a look at it. They stated that the roof itself is beyond its life. It's done very well. It's holding pretty good for the considered it's been there quite a few years. So the notion of insulating and not obviously having all that good heat come out straight away through the top of the building, taken into account. So when the chap has gone on the roof, he sent through a document detailing his particular thoughts about how we move forward with this. The insulating package that he's discussed with this agency is rather than insulating in the false ceiling, is that you insulate above. So you go on from roof level and insulate from there. The scope of the works that he's suggesting is the preparation of the roof, so some repair work to the roof itself, it being minor repairs, clearing all the drains, all the outlets, all of that kind of stuff, which would make the roof ready for the insulation. Then there would be overlay existing roof with a TBC system incorporating 130mm insulation board, and there's a whole list of tech specs for this here. Now, everybody might want to take a sharp intake of breath and be sitting down for this particular bit, as the costings for all of that came to a princely sum of £87,000, which I certainly took a deep breath myself when I got the particular, when that came through. I have another agency, I'm about to go on 2 weeks leave, I've got another agency coming in to discuss the insulation options with me once I return and let me feedback. So that's where we're at. I think from this point we really need one of our friends in the business to give us advice. I think we discussed this last time on all the particular variables between ASHP, VRV, and so on and so on. I did try and contact our friend Miles, but he hasn't got back to me, so I don't know if Councillor Law-Smith would like to nudge him along on that. We can obviously send through all these particular things to him to cast his eye over them. So that's kind of where we're at with it at the moment. Yes, I would have expected the insulating to be slightly cheaper, but it'd be good to hear what another agency say, whether they go up from the false ceilings or whether they suggest to come from the top, like this other agency. Obviously, I think the next stage would be to send you through to all the committee, all these documents, as they are quite unwieldy, quite tech spec heavy, so people can read them at their particular leisure.
I think absorb them. Yeah, that's
absorb
right.
them. Yes, I'm still absorbing some of them. Obviously, some of them are quite more techy than others. The solar quote tech is quite exhaustive in what it details in terms of battery use, where you take from the grid and so on. So it is a document to sit down with 10 minutes and really concentrate on it.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Laura Miller-Jones.
Yes. Hi. Thank you. Yeah, Gary. I will ring Miles after this meeting to chase him and also just ask for a bit of advice. If you would be able to send me those things like right after this meeting, then I can send them to Miles so that he can have a look at them, and I'll try and sort of get some feedback sort of nowish, and I'll ask him to get back to you. But did you already send them to Miles actually?
I sent, I think, the previous ones obviously following the previous meeting, and then I didn't hear anything back. So I can send through. It's probably better if I send through all of the documents to you to chase Miles up and
that'd be amazing.
his learned opinion on what he thinks is best and what is best in the real world, rather than taking everyone at their face value from the company who want to supply you with an 87,000.
I'll try and get all the advice from him. I think things have been a bit crazy for him. He's moving house and he's
absolutely life is
so I think that's probably why he hasn't replied, because it's all been a bit insane. But yeah, I will give him a ring after this and nag him.
I think basically what we need back from him is are we heading towards the VRV or are we staying with the SHP?
Yeah. I'll ask him that, and I will let you know what he says, and I'll ask him to get in touch with you as well. I just a couple of questions just on the solar and also the insulation. Can we not get West Suffolk to help, like pay for the solar or do their thing that they normally do? And do they? I'm just wondering. I should maybe know this, but I'm just wondering if West Suffolk also have any insulation sort of grants and things to help people, because that's the kind of thing that we're doing, but I don't know. I don't know if anyone knows the answer to that, but I just wonder if we should be seeing how much they would be able to sort of I know we've obviously already got the Diff 2 grant, which I think was for about 50% of the original quote, which was, I can't remember how much, 20 or
20,
between 20 and
20, 22, something like that.
Okay, yeah. So it's not a lot from the Diff 2 then. It's about 10,000-ish, which obviously isn't going to go far with that price of insulation. So I just wonder if there might be something. I don't know if anyone can answer that.
Okay, Colin.
Chair, I noticed that Councillor Burns has joined the meeting. I'm aware that Councillor Burns has some experience of the West Suffolk business offer on solar, and he may well have been watching this meeting and chosen to join us. I don't know whether he would have something to say about that.
Okay, Councillor Burns, if you're there.
Sorry,
that's all right.
I was taking apart one of the vehicle activated signs. Sorry, I got in.
As you do.
As you do, yeah. Sorry. So I'm not sure what was being spoken about. Sorry.
Oh, apologies, and I thought you might have been watching. Sorry.
No, sorry. I realised what the time. We're talking about solar on buildings, business buildings.
Yeah, we're talking about the Clements.
Yeah, okay.
Talking about the Clements Community Centre, and Gary's got us a quote for solar on the roof, but I was saying, can we not just get West Suffolk to do it? And you know all about that, so Colin's hoping you'll tell us.
Yeah, I'll put the picture on. Sorry, I can't. Yeah, we a little bit of background. We had ours done. Certainly pre-COVID. Certainly, we had the panels put on both sides of the apex of our roof. I can't remember how many kilowatts it was, but it didn't cost us anything to do. We benefit from reduced electricity charges. Obviously, West Suffolk gained the most from the payback and everything. It's not a battery system, so we only get it if the sun's shining as such. Not certain why we never did have the batteries. We've got an app, which I don't have access to, but it's been reliable. I can tell you that. I've not had any problems with it. Probably because there's no batteries and everything. And as I say, it was put in with very little thing. The electronics box is outside on the flank wall. But generally, because it didn't cost us anything, it was great. And we only leased the building, so we're not, it had to be done through the landlord. But we've never had a problem with it. And it's certainly something, if you're looking for a building such as the Clements or anywhere else for that matter, that would be the first place I would go to and say, well, what can we do? I mean, obviously the Clements is flat roofed. And you've also got the danger of possibly people being able to get on the roof. But you know, you have to have a ladder to get up there. But there is that danger where obviously my building is double storied, so you would never get on the roof unless you're a massive high lift or something. That helps. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Councillor Stinchcombe.
Oh, hang on. Yes, thank you, Chair. A couple of things, a couple of hand grenades that I threw into some correspondence with Gary, and I'll now kindly lob into this discussion. I can't quite remember what order these came in, even though I'm looking at that correspondence. There's quite a length of it, and I'm looking at it on my phone. I chucked in first of all, while we're looking at air source heat pumps as an option, actually shouldn't we be looking at ground source, because it's got land, hasn't it, right next to it? And I was kind of volunteering Tony in his absence to give us some idea of, I mean, you're well up the side of a valley, which might mean that drilling to get down to the aquifer to get some heat out of the aquifer might be a very expensive drill. But he is our local expert. I mean, I don't know if he's ever done much boring within Haverhill, but he's certainly done a hell of a lot of boring, you know, everywhere else, hasn't he? So, but I was literally volunteering him in his absence, and I don't think Gary or I have breathed a word to him about that.
No.
But I just think it's such an obviously more efficient way of getting, well, I don't know about ultimately more I'm guessing, but subject to confirmation, that you can, for every kilowatt hour you spend, you can get more kilowatts out of groundwater than you can out of air, because you have to shift a hell of a lot of air to get the same amount of heat.
So you're suggesting that the ground source might be better than the air source?
Yeah, and as far as I know, no one in Haverhill has a ground source heat pump. You know, as far as I know. So who better to demonstrate the possibilities of ground source than Haverhill Town Council? It's just one thought. But I know the other hand grenade I threw at Gary was actually, as he's illustrated, it is massively expensive to upgrade a crappy old building that's not very well insulated. And actually, might it not be cheaper to rebuild it? But I can't remember quite whose idea that was. Was it even John Burns who first came up with that idea, or am I slandering him?
No. So
I am slandering you.
Colin next, anyway. Colin.
Chair, I'm happy to give way to Councillor Miller-Jones.
Okay, Councillor Miller-Jones.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, just that I was just looking up a couple of things to try and find out if West Suffolk do fund installation, and it looks as though only as part of, I've literally just forgotten the name of it, the thing that only funds up to 1,000, which obviously is a drop in the ocean for the 87,000 cost. But then there are also a couple of others which we may already know about. There's Green Suffolk's Community Match Funder, which will fund up to 50%. And there's New Anglia. No, not New Anglia. That one's stopped. Hang on. There is Suffolk Economy, who fund a small business, 10 to 49 employees. Says that if so, they fund up to 30%. If it's a medium business, it's up to 20%. I just thought I'd put that out there to Gary and Colin. I don't know, we may well already know about those things, but if we are going to go down that route, I think, you know, definitely we should look into those options. I don't know whether you can get funding from both, you know, if we could get the 50% and the 30%, I don't, you know, because they're different organisations. I don't know how that works, but anyway, just a suggestion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Colin, did you want to come in there?
Yeah, thank you. Just on what Councillor Jones has said, I think that's sensible for Gary to look into that, just to find out about those grants. Because I mean, the worst comes to the worst, they say no, but it would be very silly if we didn't ask in the first place. I think Councillor Stinchcombe is right that ground source heat pumps are more efficient than air source. Obviously, the air gets very, very cold. The point of ground source is that it is fairly constant. But usually and we shouldn't presume on the beneficence of Councillor Brown, but it's the cost. Ground source heat pumps are generally more expensive because of the drilling, but it may be that we can be looked on favourably on that front. I think, yes, it would be useful to try and look at this holistically, and if we look at the entire cost of a sustainable heating system, a sustainable source of energy, and good insulation, we then build up to quite a significant cost, which is probably in reality 15% of the cost of an entire new community centre. So it begins to kind of tread into the territory of, well, if we're going to think on that grander scale, there's only a couple of steps up to a very grand scale where we can think about the entire building as a whole. But also, two things. One is it brings into the question, well, whether it's salesmanship or not, in terms of whether the insulation's better off on top or underneath the roof. Clearly, if you're going to put £20,000 worth of photovoltaic array on top of a roof, it's probably a sensible idea to make sure that the roof is in good condition first. Otherwise, you're going to have to hook it all back off again and replace the roof. So the roof has to be in good condition. So there's a question to be asked: how much would a brand new roof cost anyway? Because of course, if they answer that question is, well, it's going to cost you 30,000, and it doesn't sound an unreasonable figure for a brand new roof, then the insulation becomes 50,000, and that still sounds quite expensive compared to putting insulation under the roof. But who here would think it's a good idea to simply re-roof the building without adding extra insulation whilst you're going about it? So there's a kind of, I'm not justifying the price tag, which is jaw-dropping. I don't know whether it's accurately jaw-dropping or whether it's extortionately jaw-dropping. I've got no point of reference for that. But we need to perhaps get some quotes for the roof and work out then, in terms of, once we've got a quote for the roof, how much they would charge to put insulation under it, because actually that's not necessarily that much more expensive. And 130 mil for an extra 50,000 to me sounds quite an expensive premium for that level of insulation. But I think we just need, it's unfortunate because we seem to make the problem more complicated every time we meet. But I think the roof needs to be in good condition. I think actually, given the battery storage quote for the solar power, I was actually quite surprised that the 20,000 I thought was quite reasonable, given how much battery storage they include, and perhaps that's a reflection on the advances, the rapid advances in technology. We're seeing prices of battery storage fall. That sounded quite good. And of course, if that then powers whatever an air source heat pump actually powers, whether it goes to radiators or heat and vent, that's still actually offsetting both our gas and our electricity. So I think that's a very long-winded way of saying that there's more questions for Gary than there was when the meeting started, but I think there's some quite interesting points come out of it.
Okay, thank you, Colin. Councillor Miller-Jones.
Thank you. Yeah, it was just something that I'd actually meant to mention earlier, and I don't know. I just wondered if we'd also looked at the potential cost of upkeep of the two systems. I don't know. It's just something to think about. That obviously, I think none of us really know anything about the whole VRF thing. I don't know. I certainly don't. But I just also wanted to mention that we should probably take into account, is one of them going to be expensive and be more likely to need repairs and that sort of thing kind of going forward? I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Stinchcombe.
Yes, I don't know if everyone's caught up with John Burns's contribution to the chat, where he's reminding us that I was going for the I can't remember what it's called now. It's basically a closed loop system where you pump water down. You abstract water from one part of the aquifer. No, that's an open loop system. Yeah, if you can find the aquifer, you can pump water up from it, abstract heat from it, and put the chilly water back downstream somewhere in the aquifer, so you're not sucking in already slightly chilled water. That's the bee's knees, but as Councillor Burns points out, especially if you're halfway up the side of a valley and the aquifer's a hell of a long way down, that's a very expensive borehole, even if you've got a kind colleague who's going to do you a favour. But of course you can abstract heat from the ground just by digging a lot of trenching and laying squiggly pipe, polythene pipework several feet down. So, and there is, I don't know how many square meters that garden is, but it's just grass that has to be cut, isn't it? Generally, I don't think that's a terribly useful area I'm talking about to the east of the centre. Someone contradict me if you can, but basically you could trench that and be sucking heat out of there, which would be more productive year round than I think trying to suck it out of chilly air in the winter. And Councillor Burns has admitted that there was discussion about whole new community centres, but that was in the Howard estate in Bury St Edmunds he was telling us about, where West Suffolk Council basically diverted money from must have been a section 106, I think, from a local development, and that's how they got their lovely new centre funded. So.
Right.
But he's also mentioned that when the River of Life Church got the building for £1, West Suffolk Council installed all the solar for nothing. If that's at all relevant. Thank you.
Might be. Okay, thanks, Councillor Stinchcombe. Gary, do you want to come back there then?
Yeah, actually, that's interesting what Councillor Stinchcombe just said and John has mentioned. We have been in discussions for probably 2 years now with West Suffolk to put solar onto the zone. And I would have to describe the process moving in a tectonic timescale, because it's taken literally those 2 years to get almost nowhere with it. It was happening. They were talking to the landlord, and it was all good. And then the whole thing just slowed right down. So one thing for me, again, upon my return from leave, is to go back to West Suffolk and see where we're going with this, and also to ask them, is there potentiality for the Clements from that score as well? Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Gary. Councillor Miller-Jones?
Thank you. Yeah, just on that thing about the sort of speed of everything, I think it does concern me that we're trying to decarbonise, but everything's taking us so long. Not at all, Gary. Gary, I know you're working really hard, but I think part of it is that Gary is limited by the fact that he keeps having to bring stuff back to these meetings, which are not that frequent, which makes a process that might only take a few weeks take a year because of the amount of times that we can talk. So I just wonder if we could possibly book in another meeting like quite a lot sooner. Oh, I know Gary's away now for 2 weeks, but maybe kind of not that long after he's back, because maybe we'll have had answers from Miles, maybe we'll have had some more quotes. Maybe Gary could let us know when he's got something to bring, and maybe we could try and squeeze in another meeting, just because I'm concerned that all this time that these things are taking, that's all time that we're pumping out, we're using up fossil fuels, and we're not creating any solar energy. And I just think, in a way, time is as important as anything else in all this. So yeah, just a suggestion.
Okay, thank you.
And that's no
Do you want to
criticism
come in
of
there?
Gary.
Sorry. Do you want to come in there, Colin?
Thank you, Councillor Miller-Jones. I genuinely don't think the frequency of these meetings is really particularly the problem. The key problem, I think Gary will agree, is actually getting any response of any sort from people, and understanding the responses that we do get. I think key would be if perhaps Councillor Miller-Jones can help us have a relatively quick but informative meeting with Miles, just to touch base so we understand the difficulty that we have, and I'm sure it's representative of the rest of the population of Haverhill when it comes to trying to make decisions over making sustainable decisions, is that as soon as one person tells you something, the very next person tells you the absolute opposite is the case. So you think you finally made a breakthrough only to be dashed down, and it's very difficult to work out who is telling you what's accurate and who is telling you what is suiting them from a profit point of view. And the benefit we have, and it's much appreciated, of Councillor Miller-Jones' contacts within the industry, is that we have the chance to talk to somebody, and we could appreciate that this is selfish of us because they give their time freely to us, but that we could have more access to that, because we have no idea what the right answer is. When somebody says, oh, you don't want to put the insulation under the roof, you want to put the insulation over the roof. Well, that's significantly more expensive option, but is it the right answer? I don't know. So it would be really useful, not so much to have these meetings more often, but perhaps if we can, perhaps if it's possible, just to lean a little bit more to get more advice on who's telling us the right answers to these questions, because what we bring back is information that we've had for weeks, sometimes days, sometimes weeks, sometimes months, but we just don't know what to do with it because we don't know who's telling us the accurate information.
Yeah, thank you, Colin.
Sorry, I didn't put my hand
back,
up.
Laura, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to put my hand up. I'm really happy to invite Miles to a meeting. Obviously you can invite Miles to a meeting, but I will ask him when I ring him. I'll tell him we normally do Tuesday for P's, don't we? So yeah, I'll let him know that we'll want him at some point. Like I said, he's moving house, so things are a bit crazy for him, and I know he works also. There's some things that are taking a lot of his time, but I'm sure he can give us a bit of time on a Tuesday evening. So if you could just let me know when you guys have figured out sort of when we're next going to meet. I still think the sooner the better, personally, but obviously, you know, within reason. Then yeah, I will do my best to harangue him into coming along. I spoke to him the other day, and he didn't mention that he'd had an email that he hadn't replied to, but he did say that he is, you know, still available and willing to help and everything. So I will get that sorted. You're muted, Liz. Oh, you're not muted.
No.
Very quiet.
You've gone very quiet.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Can you hear
That's
me
better.
now? Oh, okay. Perhaps I was covering something. Okay. Just want to say thank you very much, Gary, for the work that you've been doing with that. And if you can let us have those documents, I know you're going to send them first of all to Laura, but if we can have sight of the documents, I think that'd be great to try and absorb it all for our future meeting with Miles, perhaps. Okay, yep. So yeah, that'd be great. But thank you very much. So going on to the next item, I think it was just a report on the environment eco market we had. Was it? I think the next item.
Unfortunately, Chair, of course, sorry, I should have said when I said no apologies. Sarah, of course, Sarah Marsh has given her apology.
Oh, okay.
We don't have that report at the moment. I mean, I understand the event there was actually, I thought, quite a lot going on there, but I haven't got any feedback to give you.
Right. I mean, Dave and myself were there on the day. We were trying to get some interest in the Swift boxes, and we took a few donations for people that didn't necessarily want the Swift boxes. They donated to the men's shed, which was very nice. But also, I quite liked the. There was a guy going around dressed as an orangutan on a bike thing. Don't know if anyone saw that, but that was quite interesting. So there were activities going on. I think it was fairly well received. So from my perspective, anyway. But be interesting to see what Sarah has to say. Okay, Councillor Jones again.
Sorry, you can't shut me up. Yeah, I really wished I could have gone. I wanted to come, and I initially had planned on offering to help, but I had to take that offer back because it turned out to be the day after I was having a minor surgery, so I had to be home. But I really wished I could come, and I've heard really good feedback about it. It sounds like it was amazing. So I just wanted to, in Sarah's absence, thank her and just say it sounds like it was brilliant, and I'm really sorry I couldn't be there to help. Next time I will be.
Yeah, I think it's something that Councillor David Smith.
Gone quiet, Liz.
Councillor David Smith. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think you may keep blocking your microphone. Yeah, I just have to point out a couple of people made a negative comment about the fact that we had a couple of ice cream vans and they're not being particularly environmentally friendly. So yeah, that was the one negative I heard. But other than that, I thought it was a pretty interesting market was put together. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda, can you hear me okay now? Yeah. Next on the agenda was any items for future meetings. Has anybody got anything they want to put forward? No? We've got enough to be thinking about. Oh, Councillor Stinchcombe.
Well, how to start an organic, eco-friendly ice cream van company. You know, like, should the town council be offering a grant to some young person to get on with it and be the change we want to see, or some grumpy citizens want to see?
Sorry,
like an old-fashioned ice cream bike rather than an ice cream van.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stop me and try
lots
one.
of vegan options, please, as well, because that's good for the environment.
Okay, fine. Councillor Burns.
Yeah, I was only going to say, from what your husband, Councillor Smith, mentioned, is there were two ice cream vans there. It wasn't the fact there were, I mean, I don't know why there were two, because they were not happy with each other because they were competing against each other. And I don't know where they came from. It was the fact they were running their diesel engines while doing it, where one of them actually could run quite happily off electricity. I don't think either didn't have the right connections for the box, or he wasn't stationed near a box, maybe. But there was a little bit of to and fro between them, I believe, and comments made. So maybe not the best idea to have done that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I'll feed that back to Sarah Marsh. I don't know the circumstances, but I do agree that I thought certainly perhaps there are some very old ice cream vans around, but I thought quite a lot would be able to plug into the mains if the option was there. So we'll take that on board.
Okay, thank you.
We want solar ice cream vans.
Okay.
Is that the solar ice lolly in particular?
Solera.
Okay then. Thank you. So let's just have a date of next meeting. I've got here the 16th of September. I don't know if we want something before that, bearing in mind what Councillor Miller-Jones said, or should we just keep to that at this time?
Chair, can I suggest that I appreciate Gary's about to go off on a fact-finding tour of Italy for looking for ground source heat sources. But when he gets back, if he can give a concerted push to find out perhaps some quotes for roofs, so we can contextualise the quote he's got at the moment and talk to Miles, and then perhaps call a meeting before the summer holidays.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Okay then. Well, thank you for that, everybody. Just going to make sure I've got my camera, can see you all. Yes. Okay, thank you very much for that. Close the meeting then at 8:01. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you,
I'm gonna
everyone.
go-
Sorry for blabbing
Thank
on.
you.